Stop trying to silence your mind. Seriously, stop it. You have been told your whole life that to find peace, you need to empty your head, delete the negativity, and force positive vibes only. But let me tell you the brutal, honest truth. That is a lie. And it is actually making you miserable. You cannot surgically remove a thought from your brain. If I tell you right now, do not think of a pink elephant, what is the first thing that pops into your mind? A pink elephant, exactly. The more you fight the darkness, the stronger it gets. The more you try to suppress a negative memory or a worry, the more it haunts you, coming back louder and more aggressive than before. It's a paradox. Force creates resistance. So, what if I told you there is a different way? What if you didn't have to fight your mind? What if you could use that exact negative energy as fuel to drive yourself into a state of absolute clarity and power? There is an ancient wisdom that says the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Look at your life right now. Be honest. Is your mind serving you, helping you build the life you want? Or is it your master, dragging you through mud, anxiety, and fear? If you let your mind run the show without training, you end up a slave to your own impulses. But today, we are going to break those chains. I am going to share with you a practical 5-step framework, 5 specific, powerful questions that will hack your psychology. These aren't just questions. They are circuit breakers for your anxiety. They are designed to pull you out of the chaos and back into the driver's seat of your life. But before we dive in, understand this. This is not a magic pill. This is mental gym work. It's not easy, especially at first. But if you stick to the process, if you commit to asking these questions every single time the storm clouds gather, you will develop a mental fortitude that nothing can break. Let's get into it. The first question you must ask yourself when you feel that internal shift toward negativity is this: what are the specific thoughts that are keeping me away from peace right now? Notice I use the phrase, keeping me away from peace. You have to view your peace as a physical location, a sanctuary inside you. When you are agitated, you have been dragged out of that sanctuary. You need to identify the kidnapper. You need to identify the thief. What is stealing your serenity? This is crucial because the thief is different for everyone, and it changes from day to day. For some of you, the thief is anger, a burning, red-hot rage about something someone said 3 hours ago. For others, it is jealousy, that sinking feeling in your gut when you scroll through social media and see someone else living your dream. For others, it is procrastination, that heavy, suffocating blanket of laziness that whispers, just do it tomorrow. You cannot fight an enemy you cannot see. you have to name it. Ask yourself, what makes me disturbed right now? Who or what is renting space in my head without paying rent? When you ask this, you stop being the emotion and you start observing the emotion. You separate yourself from the chaos. You realize, oh, I am not angry. I am experiencing a thought pattern of anger. That subtle shift is the difference between freedom and slavery. Once you realize what your personal weaknesses are, whether it's insecurity, rage, or fear, you have a target. And once you have a target, you can deal with it. This leads us directly to the second question. And this one is the anchor. You need to ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? This sounds simple, almost too simple to work, right? But let me explain the mechanics of why this is devastatingly effective. The human mind is a time traveler. It is almost never times here, asterisk. Your mind loves to live in the past, replaying old arguments, reopening old wounds, and agonizing over mistakes you made 5 years ago. Or it shoots forward into the future, creating catastrophic scenarios that haven't happened yet, worrying about what if and maybe. Your mind is addicted to the past and the future. It hates the present moment. Why? Because in the present moment, there is no drama. There is just reality. When you ask, what am I thinking right now? You are grabbing your mind by the collar and dragging it back to the present. You are forcing awareness. Ask it repeatedly, what am I thinking now? What am I doing now? When you do this, you snap out of the trance. You might realize, wow, I am standing in my kitchen making coffee, but in my head, I am fighting with my boss. You catch the disconnect? You bring your awareness back to the immediate reality. This is mindfulness in action. It's not about sitting on a mountaintop. It's about catching yourself in the act of mental time travel. When you ask this, the answers will come flooding in. You'll admit to yourself, my mind is in a state of stress. I am worrying about a bill. I am replaying a breakup. Good. Now you have the raw data. You have identified the thought and you are present with it. You aren't running from it anymore. Now that you have the thought pinned down, it's time to interrogate it with the third question. Is this thought pattern actually helpful to me? This is where you bring in your logical brain. You need to perform a cost-benefit analysis on your own misery. We often hold on to negative emotions because, in a twisted way, they feel good. Anger feels powerful. Worry feels like we are being responsible and preparing for the worst. Sadness feels comfortable. But you need to challenge that. Dive deep into the problem. If you are angry, ask yourself, is this anger really going to fix the situation? Is this fire in my chest going to solve the problem? Or is it just burning a hole in my own heart? he will almost always come up with the same answer: no. It is not helpful. It is a liability. It hurts me, and it hurts the people around me. It clouds my judgment. It ruins my health. If you are worrying, ask, is this worry changing the outcome? No. It's just stealing my energy today to worry about a tomorrow that might not happen. When you force yourself to look at the disadvantages, the downside of your negativity, you start to lose your taste for it. You realize you are drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Most of the time, we function on autopilot. We react without thinking about the consequences. This question forces you to look at the consequences before they happen. It gives you a chance to see the cliff before you drive off it. You realize this thought is not my friend. It is a saboteur. And once you see it as a saboteur, it becomes much easier to let it go. You aren't suppressing it. You are simply realizing it has no value to you. So, you've identified the thief. You've come back to the present. And you've realized the negativity is useless. Now, we pivot to action with the fourth question. What is the best thing I can do instead of staying in this negative state? This is the turning point. You can't just create a vacuum. You can't just stop doing something. You have to replace it with something else. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you remove a negative thought, you must plant a positive action in its place immediately. If you are stuck in anger, ask, what is the best alternative? The answer might be forgiveness. Not because the other person deserves it, but because times deserve peace. The answer might be to let go, to take a deep breath and walk away. If you are stuck in laziness or procrastination, ask, what is the best thing I can do right now? The answer is to take one small step. To do 5 minutes of work, to stand up and move your body. Here is the fascinating thing about human nature. We all know what is good and bad for us. Deep down, you already have the wisdom. We know too much sugar destroys our health. Yet, watch what happens when we make a cup of tea. We grab the spoon and dump sugar in 1 spoon. 2 spoons, maybe a little extra. We do it on autopilot, ignoring the knowledge we have. We know it's bad, but we do it anyway because we aren't conscious. That is why you must ask this question explicitly. You have to interrupt the autopilot. What is the correct times thing to do right now? When you ask this, you tap into your inner wisdom. You find the solution within yourself. You don't need a guru to tell you to stop screaming. You need to stop. You don't need a book to tell you to get back to work. You need to work. This question empowers you to listen to your higher self, not your lower impulses. It bridges the gap between knowing what is right and actually doing what is right. Now, you have a plan. You know what you should do, but knowing isn't enough. You need motivation. You need drive. That brings us to the fifth and final question. What are the benefits I will get by cultivating this positive state? Human beings are wired for reward. We move toward pleasure and away from pain. If you want to make a new habit stick, you have to sell it to yourself. You have to market the benefits to your own brain. If you decide to forgive instead of fight, ask yourself, what do I gain? You gain a lighter heart. You gain better sleep. You gain the ability to focus on your goals instead of your enemies. You gain dignity. If you decide to crush your laziness and get to work, what are the benefits? You get the satisfaction of progress. You get financial rewards. You get the pride of being a disciplined person. You get to sleep tonight knowing you gave it your all. Visualize these rewards. Feel them. The more clearly you can see the benefits of the wholesome thought, the more your mind will naturally gravitate toward it. You are retraining your brain's reward system. You are teaching it that positive action equals pleasure and negative dwelling equals pain. So let's recap the arsenal you now have. You catch the disturbance. You ask, 1. What is stealing my peace? 2. What am I thinking right now? 3. Is this helpful? 4. What is the best alternative action? 5. What are the rewards of that action? Now, there is only one thing left to do. The most difficult and important step of all, take action. Go ahead and do it. Execute the solution you found. If the answer was to apologize, go apologize. If the answer was to work, start typing. If the answer was to breathe, close your eyes and breathe. But remember, and I want to be very clear about this, none of this is easy. Do not expect to become a master of your mind overnight. You have spent years, maybe decades, wiring your brain to react negatively. That wiring is thick and strong. It will take time to dismantle it. You will fail. You will try this today, and tomorrow you might lose your temper again. You might fall back into depression or anxiety. That is okay. That is part of the human experience. Do not beat yourself up. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. When you fail, you simply start again. You ask the questions again. You keep practicing. Think of it like a muscle. The first time you go to the gym, you are weak. You are sore. You want to quit. But if you keep going, day after day, that muscle grows. Eventually, lifting the weight becomes easy. Eventually, controlling your mind becomes effortless. It becomes your new nature. You have the power to transform your mind from a chaotic master into a brilliant servant. But you have to do the work. You have to ask the questions. So I challenge you, try this for the next week. Just 1 week. Whenever you feel the darkness creeping in, run this 5-question protocol and see what happens. If you found value in this strategy, if you are ready to take control of your mental destiny, make sure you join our community. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a life of peace and power together. Namo Buddhaya.